Guys, I'm back in my craft room. I have been super busy this last couple weeks, so I haven't been able to make my Flavius Josephus and the Book of Revelation videos, but I'm on to, I believe it's number 11. So do you guys remember in one of the last videos that I made, I told you about this man named Jesus that Josephus talks about that was running up and down the streets of Jerusalem for 7 years saying, "Woe to Jerusalem, woe to Jerusalem." So this is actually what it says. But what is still more terrible? There was one Jesus, the son of Ananus, a plebeian and a husbandman, who for 4 years before the war began, and at a time when the city was in great peace and prosperity. Now remember, during this time, these people were in what was called the Pax Romana, which was a great time of peace. They had not seen war for a long time. So they came to that feast whereon it is our custom for everyone to make tabernacles to God in the temple, began on a sudden to cry aloud. A voice from the east and a voice from the west, a voice from the four winds, a voice against Jerusalem and the holy house, a voice against the bridegrooms and the brides, and a voice against this whole people. This was his cry as he went about by day and by night, in all the lanes of the city. However, certain of the most eminent among the populace had great indignation at this dire cry of his, took up the man, gave him a great number of severe stripes. Yet did not he either say anything for himself or anything peculiar to those that chastised him, but still went on with the same words which he cried before. Hereupon our rulers, supposing, as the case proved to be, that this was a sort of a divine fury in the man, brought him to the Roman procurator, where he was whipped till his bones were laid bare. Yet he did not make any supplication for himself, nor shed any tears, but turning his voice to the most lamentable tone possible, at every stroke of the whip his answer was, "Woe, woe to Jerusalem!" And when Albinus, for he was then the procurator, asked him who he was, and whence he came, and why he uttered such words, he made no manner of reply to what he said, but still did not leave off his melancholy ditty, till Albinus took him to be a madman, and dismissed him. Now during all the time that passed before the war began, this man did not go near any of the citizens, nor was seen by them while he said so, but he every day uttered these lamentable, say that word 5 times fast, words, as if it were his premeditated vow. Woe, woe to Jerusalem! Nor did he give ill words to any of those that beat him every day, nor good words to those that gave him food. But this was his reply to all men, and indeed no other than a melancholy presage of what was to come. This cry of his was the loudest at the festivals, and he continued this ditty for 7 years and 5 months, without growing hoarse or being tired therewith, until the very time that he saw his presage in earnest fulfilled in our siege, when it ceased. For as he was going round upon the wall, he cried out with his utmost force, "Woe, woe to the city again, and to the people, and to the holy house!" And just as he added at the last, "Woe, woe to myself also," there came a stone out of one of the engines, and smote him, and unalived him immediately. And as he was uttering the very same presages, he gave up the ghost. Now I want you to pay attention to a few things I said in there. This man named Jesus was screaming woes to these people for 7 years. And then at the end, he gave up his ghost. Does that sound familiar? Well, I want to show you something in the Bible that resembles this. So we are in the book of Matthew. We are in chapter 23. This is where Jesus is speaking to the crowds of people and his disciples, and he's given the woes to the scribes and Pharisees. But if you scroll down, I counted them the other day when I was on my live, and I couldn't believe it. Remember the guy, Jesus of Ananus, was screaming for 7 years, "Woe to all those people in Jerusalem. Here's the woes that Jesus spoke. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. Woe to you, blind guides. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. So if you count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's exactly 7 woes, just like the 7 years that the Jesus in Josephus stories screamed woe to the people in that story. Is that not a coincidence, or is it? So I know this isn't the book of Revelation. This is actually the book of Matthew. But we know Matthew was one of the later writings. It wasn't an early writing. So we know that Josephus wrote his War of the Jews around 70 to 75 AD, and the book of Matthew was written much later. So do you think the author plagiarized this from Josephus' writings? That he got the woes to Jerusalem from the Jesus of Ananias and included it into the book of Matthew, where Jesus, the Christ, said woe 7 times. Let me know what you think in the comments.